This video is going to show you how to increase a bust dart. Bust darts need to be increased when you're fuller than a B cup. It will give you extra width in the bodice front as well as length in the bodice front. We're going to increase, let's say if it was full scale, we're increasing 2 inches. Well, we have 2 halves, so we divide that by half, so it's 1 inch. And now that we're doing half scale, we'll divide that by 2. And so we're actually going to increase 1/2 inch. There are 4 lines you need to make to prep your pattern. They all reference from the bust apex. So do a diagonal line from the apex to above the arm's eye notch. And then we're going to draw across the dart leg to the apex. That's 2. Oops. But we're going to continue to center front. So that's 3. And then we're going to draw a line parallel to center front right through the apex to the bottom. Okay, then you're going to cut through these lines, but we have a couple of pivot points. So they are here, and I'll do a little circle, and right here just to the left of the apex. So your first cut comes right up through the waist dart to the apex, then turn and continue up, but this is a hinge. Do not cut all the way through. That's a hinge. Then we're going to cut on the upper dart leg, but this is also a hinge, so you stop right before you get to there. If you happen to cut through your hinge, just tape it back and then cut this one completely off, because this is where we will be lengthening. Okay, this doesn't need to scare you. It's actually quite a fun alteration where you can see how the dart depth increases, and we're widening this. Essentially what we're doing is lengthening and widening here. So we'll have a piece of tissue paper for half scale underneath the whole thing. So I'm going to go ahead and use this to my advantage. That's a nice straight line, so I will pin my pattern there. Then I'm going to draw a line straight down here as a reference point, because that's where this piece would have been. And I'm increasing 1/2 inch. So now from that line, I draw a 1/2 inch line. And then I just move this, it's on a pivot, so that lines up to that. Pin that. And then this has been cut off because we've not only widened the pattern, we've lengthened it as well. And now these two need to meet down here. So line that up so that our dart ends line up like that. It's going to be different for every pattern size, and you can't say it's going to be a certain amount. But that's how much it actually got increased. Now, we increased length here, but it did not increase the length to the side. That will still match your back pattern piece. Now that you've got it all pinned down, go ahead and add your tape to tape the pattern to the tissue. We still have one more step, and that is to redraw our dart. Our bust dart needs to be redrawn. This is not our bust dart. That can confuse you, but that's not the bust dart. But we have some information here. We want to know how deep that dart is. Now it is 1 3/4 inch. So I'm going to go ahead and just write that down, 1 3/4. That's going to be the width of my dart here. Well, we want that dart to be perpendicular to our grain line. So from here, we're going to draw up to our apex. Excuse me, not from there, but it needs to be parallel, perpendicular to your grain line. And going up to your bust point. But we don't want the dart to go to the bust point. Full scale, you need to be at least an inch, inch and a quarter away. So for half scale, we want to be a ½ inch away. So that's where our point will be. Now, this will be the top of our dart. The dart at the outside edge is 1 3/4. So now measure down 1 3/4. And there's the bottom part. So now we will draw that dart leg to there. And that's our new dart for the bust. Notice how the arm's eye curved a little more. That's just fine. Once the dart is sewn, that will come back into place, and that will still match the original arm's eye. Now we'll take the pins off because we have to shape the bust dart and make sure that our two dart legs are the same length. So we are going to crease that bottom dart leg. It's harder to fold on regular paper, but it'll be easier for your tissue paper. But you do need to fold that as though it was sewn, okay? Now we need to redraw our side seam from the top to the bottom. And then we will cut. You'll notice that it will really have quite a big shape, but it's because it's a deeper dart now. So here is the top of our dart. Redraw that. You can see it better. And the bottom leg of our dart. This is the dart end that's now shaped. Now we need to fix our waist dart. We don't want to leave it that wide unless if you're not needing the extra width here, you could actually do 2 darts here. But we'll go ahead and see how wide that half was. It's a ½ inch. So we'll redraw the dart here for the waist dart. Now, we've increased the length. So whatever that amount is, we can increase the length of this dart a ½ inch. So now we'll lengthen that dart so that it comes closer to the bust apex. And then what lines you don't use, just put your do not use lines so that that doesn't confuse you. So we've increased the depth of that dart. We've increased the width of the blouse front and increased the length to give you a better fit. Now that I have redrawn my waist dart, we need to shape the dart end. So since the dart's going to be pressed to center front, it's the dart leg closest to center front that we fold. So you'll crease that one, and I know it's hard with this paper, and bring it to match as though it was a closed dart. And then cut along there, and I'll just finish cutting that off. And there is the dart end shape, okay, slightly slanted. Now that we've shaped our dart ends, make sure that you have put do not use lines on anything you're not using. So I've done that here. We've done it up here, so all those extra lines don't confuse you. So here's my bust dart. Ends a ½ inch to the bust apex for half scale. And then here's my lengthened waist dart.